Welcome back to We Are the Educators. Today's episode.
Back to the swing of things.
All right, we'll see you in a moment. I'm Mr. James.
And I'm Mr. Ritchie.
And we are the
Educators.
And we're in a room, and it is August 12th. It's 91 degrees outside. We have fans on, and he's back, everybody. Educators are back.
That's right.
Hot and miserable in this COVID-19 overrun state.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough day. Today's a good day for spreading some of the virus around because everyone's going to be inside and having the ACs blowing around and not wanting to be outside so much. It's one of those kind of days, like we're having down in Florida right now with all the people that are inside to get out of the heat, of course, Florida heat. And lo and behold, that's where a lot of new cases are. So we thought that we were going to get out of having to talk about this stuff, but here we are, over a year later, and we're going to probably be talking about this for the next few months.
We start where we end where we began, basically. So like episode 71. Sorry about the last episode being in a car. I know it was a mess. Sorry if you didn't listen to it, go listen to it right now. Go watch it. And yeah, pretty bad audio. Hopefully this is much better audio. It's microphone here, microphone there. I have a fan blowing this way. He has a fan blowing that way. So we're not getting our own germs, although they're probably intermixing, but whatever.
We got the vaccine early. We're doing pretty good. And we are co-workers, so therefore we're mitigating our risk, and we're each individually smart about where we go, so we do our best. So
Yeah.
you got to do what you can. But here we are. My shirt says 2020 vision, but we are looking forward to 2022 at this point, with our return to the 2021/22 school year, which will begin in a few weeks. We do work at the same school, and we don't know what this school year is going to look like. It's about the same that we had last year at this time, where we're like, "Hi, I wonder what our job's going to be."
And I've seen inside the school, and I've been switching things around. Of course, I did 5 weeks of summer school and such, but I moved things, which I think right now we have 18 students. I think is the average in each class. There's 20 in a 5th grade class, so it might be news to you, but that's at most that we're going to have, which is great. Kind of. I wish it would be 12, but yeah, that's kind of how we're dealing with that. So I arranged everything in the room so that I can have that many students. You have some pretty cool arrangement ideas you're going to do, so you can make sure you have all the students fit in easily and not have to change or have everyone be uncomfortable. Inconvenience from those tables that are one way, one side.
Yeah, I have the smallest room in the school, and I have some unusual seating, and it's all right. I'm just going to be glad to be back for as long as it lasts. I once again think that we're going to be in and out pretty quick, and it is what it is. But yeah, I'm going to do my best to get the seating arrangement correct so that as many students can get the most out of this school year as they can. I'll probably be wearing a mask for the majority of the year, which worries me for English language learner or ELL students or even English speakers that, like me, when I'm watching a presenter, and if I have a hard time hearing them or if they have an accent or something, I usually watch their mouth. And so, unfortunately, it's just what I've got to do to keep people protected, and it's what I got to do to protect myself. So there's all these questions. We're all up in the air right now. It's not ideal, but I haven't taught. This is my 3rd year teaching. I haven't taught during a normal year, so for me it's almost normal at this point.
Yeah, I know.
Just dealing with this stuff, but yeah,
I had that one normal year, and then it was like, wow, this is not fun so many times, and to go into the next school year ready to go. This is great. Everything seems to be working, rolling things out, great, and then it ends, and you go, what? And then to get into the 3rd year, brand new set of everything. I still have everything planned out, but Seesaw, Google Classroom, online stuff, deadlines for all of that. It worked. Now we're going into something where I guess we have the digital program still.
We don't even know.
Yeah, we're not even doing training on them, and we don't know if it's going to be like, hey, by the way, remember like we did last year, can you just tag this on at the end of like, really? I don't think we can.
Teachers have been asked to do an enormous amount of extra work, especially over this last year. And at the end of 2 years ago, some teachers stood up and did extra, some teachers didn't. But over this last year, I'd say just about every public school teacher went above and beyond and had to deal with issues with their own homes and staying healthy and their families and things like that. Luckily, our school, I didn't hear of anyone with serious issues, with health, because we stuck to masks, we stuck to distancing. We didn't play games at our district, and I don't remember hearing of anyone really becoming seriously ill. And I'm hoping that continues, but with this new Delta variant, I think I read one article somewhere that said it was like one of the most infectious diseases that has ever been recorded. And so now
let's get into that because it's pretty bad numbers in this state. I remember you said at one point it went down to 5 a day, and now the other day, yesterday, as I was doing some editing, it was at 369.
Yeah, for new cases.
Crazy.
And so I'm just going to show this little curve. Now this is in the state of Maine. So the curve, we are here. It's never good to just know that it's going to get worse before it's getting better. And then if that wasn't bad enough, that's just Maine. I'm going to show this, it's kind of low tech, putting on a screen on a screen, but we're going to work with what we got here. This is America. So if you can see that, I'm going to just move this
over. It's actually...
Yeah, right now we are as bad, where we are right now, as February of this previous year, or we are equal to November of last year.
Wow.
So, in the middle of the summer, here in America, we are having numbers that are as bad as the winter months were previous. And that does not bode well. August of last year was not nearly as bad with numbers-wise as we are now, which just should go to show you that we're going to be taking this more serious, but there is more pushback than ever before. In a district that I don't work in, but a district where I live, it is a very contentious, heated debate between the public and the school board, establishing mask rules. People are being misled every day. A few different ways, thinking that either masks don't work or that it's government overreach, all kinds of stuff. So, I don't know. The option to do nothing is not an option.
We've been in this conversation
so many times
for so long. 71 episodes.
Yeah. This began because of COVID-19, and I mean, I wanted to do a podcast for many years, ever since listening to so many of them, starting in 2005. Wow. But it began because of COVID-19, and the first few episodes we had, maybe like I could say 30 episodes we've had, focused solely just on talking about COVID-19. Yeah. And
how like messed up everything was, and we didn't know how things were going to be. I remember those first few episodes were like, what's happening? I don't know what's going on. Is it going to take over the world? And wow, it's stayed a long time, and now it's coming back again. And not everybody's getting the vaccine, and the vaccine doesn't work perfectly. I mean,
that's a major source of contention too. Is that people are uncomfortable with seeing science work in real time, science and medical engineering, and so in science, mistakes are known, and problems and not being able to see the future is sort of like a thing that scientists just know. They accept it, they go with it. Human beings, for some reason, they really believe that scientists are somehow supposed to be able to see the future, figure things out with a couple of samples and some experiments, and boom, know exactly what to do. It's not the way it works, folks. And what we are seeing is a incredibly difficult virus, which is starkly different than SARS-CoV-1 or SARS-CoV-1 versus SARS-CoV-2. Like SARS-CoV-1, which was known as what was it now?
Didn't they just call it SARS or?
SARS, that's right. Yeah, they called it SARS. Yeah, and it was a weak virus that killed itself off. It was they had made vaccines for it. It died. They didn't need to implement the vaccines, but that research kept continuing for 10, 15 years, and then now here we are. We get to use that information for SARS-CoV-2, and people think that we've crafted this new vaccine out of thin air, out of unknown materials that are untested and all this, and yet right now some people have even said that this is the second most effective vaccine that has ever been created.
Yeah.
And I believe that it's either the Pfizer or Moderna one, the higher end ones. And so the fact of the matter is, we are watching this happen in live time, and we are going to keep living it, whether or not we are done with it or not. Which a lot of people are just, I'm done with it. Like, all right, well, let your cancer know that you're just done with it. And
I'm done. Get away from me. All right, I'm gonna go someplace else and grow out of control. Hold on a second. You did some things that caused this to happen, or genetics, and it's gonna still happen. So you need to fight. It's like a fight that we have to fight.
You gotta fight it.
A war happens in your country, in your neighborhood, and people are walking down the streets with combat boots kicking in doors. You need to know what's going on, and if you have to fight, you have to fight. It's not like you have a choice in the matter. You don't have a choice in the matter anyways for anything. There's few choices we have nowadays. Everyone wants to have choices.
I know, and like it's funny because it's usually the people that think that the kids that we're raising currently are the weakest generation ever, and they're entitled and they want, well, people that are in denial or unwilling to do anything about this virus, that's entitlement to me. America was built on people that, we fought for freedoms, we fought for religious freedoms and, civil rights and things like that. Well, this is a fight. We're in the middle of a fight for our health, and we don't talk about this enough, but the life expectancy in the United States dropped by a whole year because of how many elderly people have lost their lives to this virus. And like I mentioned this a few times in a few podcasts, but you cannot increase the expected lifespan if you're willing to let all of the elderly people die. That's just not how you increase lifespan. We should be living to 100 or more at this stage. And largely what's held us back is like dietary trends and like the things that Americans like to eat. But we're being held back now by scientific denial and not doing the right things for the good of everyone else. So we are in the middle of this fight. We got to keep going, and we're going to be right in the middle of it, educating children.
Oh yeah.
And we're going to be trying to make them better than we were. I guess that's what all adults should be doing, is trying to make the next generations better than they were. And so I don't believe that this is the weakest generation ever. I think they're going to be going through some stuff, and they will hopefully come out of this a little bit more respectful to science than perhaps some of our predecessors.
Yeah, we do definitely have to. We're waiting for our masks as well.
Oh my
Hello,
God.
Kickstarter.
If anyone's been following us for a while, we're still waiting on some Kickstarter masks that,
And there was a point where we thought we wouldn't have to use them, actually.
Yeah.
And now, guess what? Probably have to use them.
I plan on using them in my shop.
Yeah.
Like I was just like, all right, well, I won't be able to use them for teaching, but they've got these incredible filters and stuff like that. Well, that's gonna be perfect to work on, if I'm grinding some paint or something I don't want to breathe in. Oh, I'll just wear it then. But no, I'm gonna be needing it to keep myself and my students safe.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, great, we get to use these. I mean, like I mentioned before, I don't mind wearing a mask, and it's comfortable in some cases, but it's that whole thing where, like, yeah, we absolutely have to. So that diligence that I'm still used to doing and I'm still willing to do, but is everybody else doing it? Because that's the other thing we talked about before, is the fact that yes, it is inconvenient to have this problem, but also there is that, you know, when people do something and they do it for a while and they get sick of it and they're burnt out and then they don't want to do it again. Well, a lot of teachers are leaving schools right now because they don't want to teach. They got burnt out, and they know that it's a horrible pandemic and it's still around, and they don't want to go back to teaching that same way again. Okay, we get that. But there are people that are going to be teaching still that stay with it, that are sick of the PPE, they're sick of cleaning and mask wearing and the protocols that need to be in place during this time. And they're not having it, and they're fighting already, and a lot of districts have already said, oh no, it's going to be your choice. And when it comes to the fact that the state says, no, it's not your choice, it's mandated, I know there's going to be some pushback. And it's close to the middle of August, and we go back at the end of August, so what's going to happen? Something's going to happen next few weeks. They might say something, and it's going to be a giant shock to everybody, and I know where people stand.
To many people. But like, because right now in our district, it is not required that anybody mask. It's up to the parents and to the kids. So then that opens up social pressures like, oh, you're wearing a mask? Oh, why would you, like, so hazing and bullying and stuff like that. That opens that up because everyone's not equal now. All of a sudden there's going to be a division. Not a very good idea, I don't think. And then amongst us teachers, there's probably going to be, I expect that when I'm wearing a mask out and I see a bunch of other people not, they might look at you different or something like that. It doesn't make sense if everyone's not doing it, but if everyone just agrees to not do anything, then nobody will be inspired to try and do something more. So I'll probably be one of those teachers that is doing their best to try to encourage everyone to do the right thing. And the right thing is reduce the amount of aerosol droplets that leave your body and go to someone else, and try to reduce the amount of aerosol droplets that enter your body. So, masks help me with that.
Probably have at least 3 grade levels, K through 2nd, where that's going to probably be the most important thing for them to have a role model. I mean, everyone at school should be, teachers should be role models to their students. But I think in the really, the age range where it's going to be they're most susceptible to being influenced by you, probably going to be those ages. So that might be one of the big things where, like, you can kind of instill, like, no, it's good that we wear this.
Yep.
But I know it's going to be a fight with some of the older grades, and at the same time, it's not like we have a system where it starts off at the beginning of the day with the youngest and works all the way up to the oldest, or in the reverse. Oh no, our schedule jumps here and there, up and down. It doesn't make a lot of sense. It didn't the previous years, but it stayed consistent somewhat. Now it's completely different again, and I don't even know, like, where to go with that.
How cool would it be if it was just like, all right, in the morning it's kindergarten, then first, second, third, fourth.
Yeah, so you can work up to like, okay, great, I can get more and more intense into this, or start off intense and then slowly bring it back. Not that you have to be the most intense with some of the older grades, but I realize you have to have a lot of energy for the youngest grades. It's just that if you're teaching a certain subject, you can go into more depth with the older students. And do you want to start off like that, or do you want to end the day like that? Because you probably don't want to do that interspersed throughout the day and then go back down to a younger grade and then go back up 4 grades higher, 2 grades down, 3 grades higher, boom, boom, up and down until the last class of the day you have no energy for. And for us, it's 6th grade.
Which is usually requiring a lot of patience. It's like ending the day with either kindergarten or 6th grade. Either one requires the most patience and the most energy. for different reasons.
Yeah.
And so luckily, I mean, our school isn't. Luckily, our school isn't in Florida. I don't know any other way to say
yes,
it.
that's a good segue.
Yeah, because there's a lot of stuff in the news as of right now. Unfortunately, Florida's largely in the news every day just for some crazy stuff. But now there's funding issues. If a school system mandates masks, the governor says he's going to shut off funding. So now the federal government is thinking of picking up their funding if these districts decide to implement a mask mandate. And what is strange is that the backing for, or the reason behind not wanting to mandate masks is government overreach, but isn't declaring that a whole group of people in the state can't do something that is also government overreach, but in the opposite direction. And so anyone with a brain should be able to say, well, wait a minute, they're not really talking about government overreach, they're just making masks political. That's exactly what it is. And so Florida, once again, in the news for a bunch of different reasons. And today it is for mask funding issues, which I think is very strange to even suggest to cut off funding for the public school system when everyone knows that funding is a major hurdle for any public school system. But luckily, in today's news, coronavirus isn't the only thing in the news. I guess that's either a positive or a negative, because there's lots of other stuff in the news.
Yeah, some bad things around the world. I mean, I was going to entitle this episode The End of the World, but we probably have a few more episodes till that actually happens. That'll probably be the 100th episode. Hopefully we can make it there.
Yes.
Hopefully we make it to the 1,000th episode. That'd be great. And maybe have a couple more listeners. Just a couple more.
We'll see.
Okay, just a few more. A few more watchers maybe.
Yeah.
I'd like to see two men in a room sitting and talking. Only this episode though, right? You're used to the Zoom. We're used to the Zoom or some other feature. But yeah, it's as some of the world's at war. Are we at war still?
We're still at war. We've been at war in America for more years than we've been not at war. So we are a country based on war, and the longest war in U.S. history, over 20 years now, in Afghanistan. So the U.S. is considering moving the embassy in Afghanistan and drawing down personnel as more cities fall to the Taliban. So moving an embassy is usually something that they do if they think that city is going to be overtaken. Obviously, we got to take care of our embassy staff. So embassies, if for some listeners or watchers, you need to have embassies. That's how you communicate. That's how you you build relationships with other countries. You have to have a dialogue, even in countries that perhaps we don't agree with everything that they do. Embassies are an important part of dialogue and solving complex problems with words versus fighting. Well, in Afghanistan, we've been there fighting for 20 years. Of course, we have an embassy there too. Well, if we're going to move that embassy, that's not a good sign. Yeah. What did you say? I think earlier it was not 2/3. What was it?
I think it was about 2/3.
Was it 2/3?
I think
2/3.
We heard NPR this morning. Around 2/3 of the country is being taken over by the Taliban already.
Yeah.
I thought I heard that, but
either that or 3/4.
That's crazy.
Yeah, which is imagine the entire South and the entire West. Basically, imagine the 13 colonies of America are the only ones that are actually still America under American rule, and the rest is all overtaken by the Taliban.
Yeah.
And how awesome would that feel? Obviously, they're going to be encroaching and pushing forward, and so they're no longer even coming to the table to talk for any form of discussion, because why would they? They're winning. And 20 years of us being there, one of the most powerful countries in the world, all we've done is delay their encroachment, and that's not cool for a 20-year investment with, everyone on the earth, or everyone in America could afford a flight on Richard Branson's rocket if we just didn't go to war for those past 20 years. You know what I mean? There's so much money went into this war that we would be so much better off if we didn't, everything else being equal. But 20-year investment, was it worth it? I mean, I would like to know the total cost. I don't even know the total cost. I can find
Yeah.
that, but heartbreaking. And so I do think that we need to get out of there, because what's another year going to do? What's another 2 years? What's another 10 years going to do if we haven't made progress? And on NPR the other day, there was a discussion with the guy who wrote the book on the Taliban, and the one question that I remember was, if you had to write this book again 20 years later, what would be different? And the guy responded, not much. It'd be a boring book. It'd be like the same book. And so, if we can't do a lot in 20 years, we're going to have to figure out something else. I approve the plan of getting out. I approved that plan even when it came from the previous president. And, you know, some people just react negatively towards a president that they don't like. I didn't like that president, but when he said he wanted to get out of there, I was like, hey, all right, there's a plus. Something I can appreciate. But just
I kind of feel like they're going to use that, though, against current president.
Of course.
In order to get the other one, because I've seen those flags.
Of course, yeah.
I've seen those flags up. In fact, a house I previously rented has, as you walk into the house, right on the front porch, American flag, and then the other flag. Trump 2024, by the way. And it's just right out there, gigantic flags. You probably have to brush against it as you walk in. I don't know if you should be brushing against an American flag. I guess there's something against that, right? You can't touch the ground. You can't touch it, whatever, like that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're supposed to have it as like your clothing and things like that shouldn't be the flag, but
I think we've kind of lost all that sort of like things for engraving cloth and making it, I don't know, a symbol. It's a huge symbol, but that whole thing might get somebody else elected, because everyone might think that us leaving is going to make it seem like we're weak, and we need to be strong again and blame the current president. We're not strong enough, that's why you're leaving. We should go there and teach them to have American values, and they need to have democracy and whatever we have here. Give them a grill and some hot dogs.
Yeah, right. And every bomb we drop just makes more combatants. It's like you don't get rid of more by injuring and harming other people. It's just like in Vietnam. In Vietnam, they kept making more combatants. Like every time that they would go in and do a strike, more combatants were like, all right, well, the United States just took out my rice crop, and I have nothing else to do. My entire village is gone. I now have the choice to either survive with nothing, or I join the Viet Cong, and at least I can have some sustenance. And now I'm angry at them, so why wouldn't I fight back? So it's like we didn't learn our lesson from that war. We are repeating some similar mistakes. I think a lot of people really thought it was going to be like the Iraq War, where we just overwhelm, storm in, and just show them who's boss, and in and out, boom, done. Now we get the oil fields. Well, Afghanistan, traditionally, like just in history, has never been someplace that you want to go and fight. All of the major powers have tried to take it over. No one has succeeded except the Taliban. So, one of those things, it's time for us to probably get out of there. But we've got all kinds of issues, though, so we're not just in war, but we also have climate change.
Yep.
And
that's not gone away either, everybody.
No. Every year it just keeps getting the hottest year on record. Right now we're in the middle of a heat wave, and so the East Coast and the Pacific Northwest right now are in 100+ degree heat waves, and it's just getting worse. People are, taxing the grid with their air conditioner use, especially in California and the Pacific Northwest. Their grids already are very sensitive because they have to shut down the grids to prevent fires from happening because of this ancient technology that they're using out there. And so imagine there's nothing wrong with the connection. They shut off your power. You now have no AC. It's over 100 degrees. Let's say that you have a respiratory issue, like, I don't know, coronavirus lingering effects, like in your lungs, and trying to breathe through this heat. I mean, I have asthma, and this stuff, I mean, if I have an asthma attack when it's really humid out, it just adds misery to it. But I just can't imagine this, getting better without action. And a lot of people are still in denial about climate change. And I think that there's been, what else was there recently? There was fires, there's been dust storms around the planet, there's like, it's getting
floods.
worse.
I heard flood.
Floods, yeah.
Someone, I was in an elevator the other day, and I was like, what about that thing that happened in the elevator where it flooded, it was on the news, it flooded, and people were swimming in a stuck elevator because of floods, I think. It might have happened, I think it was in Florida. But,
yep.
I mean...
in China there was massive floods. Like in Hawaii right now. Hawaii had massive wildfire. And the way that the soil is over there, they really need the structure, like the root structure, in order to not have mudslides. Well, once you destroy grassland and trees and things like that, there's nothing really holding the soil to the ground, and so now they're worried about mudslides, and that's just in Hawaii, which is something that you don't hear about wildfires in Hawaii. Well, that's something that we're having now. It's crazy. We're in a drought. We've been in a drought. The river's lower than I've seen it in a long time, and so it's getting worse, and we got to use our brains here. And honestly, usually it's the same people arguing that coronavirus isn't a big deal, and neither is climate change. And I did notice recently that in both, I've seen a major shift with especially climate change, that it exists, but it just wasn't man-made. And okay, anthropomorphic climate change is, an absolute fact. It's, we're over here in America, meanwhile the rest of the planet is basically like, yeah, totally, like we get this. Coronavirus is a big deal, we should do something about it, and climate change is a big deal, but over here in America we're behind the times because we're stuck in our ways.
I don't know. It just seems. Is the Earth still flat?
Yeah. If the Earth is flat, what's on the other side? Like, please, if you're
the dark side of the Earth. It's that Pink Floyd album that everyone loves. The '70s. You play along to that movie.
If anyone knows a flat earther, send them my way. I really want to have a discussion with a flat earther. Like, genuinely, like I don't want to make fun of them. I'll do everything in my power not to make fun of them. I just want to know, like, I want to know how they really think it works.
How do they keep the faith?
Yeah.
Basically. But yeah, it does seem like the world is like definitely a lot of problems. I mean,
we passed a major infrastructure bill recently to get.
Yes, I heard about that. Yeah.
Some problems like bridges crumbling and roads have been terrible. Luckily around here, there's been a lot of road work. Some new bridges went in my town where I was brought up, had some new bridge. The previous one was from the 1940s. One of those, the New Deal projects. My road hadn't been paved since the 90s. It just got paved the other day. I see the worst road in the town that I grew up in is getting paved this year. So it's like, all right, I don't know. For the first time ever, I'm seeing actual infrastructure problems being solved, which is kind of cool, which I'm glad.
And how's that gonna last if everyone has got COVID-19 and climate problems happening with that? I mean, that's honestly, there's a lot of things that happen, I think, in the world that when we see like construction and stuff like that, which is kind of like the bath fitters for like everything, bath fitters being like a running joke I have, and I don't know exactly if they do this, but you take something that looks old and bad and you just put something new over it, and there you go, look at it's brand new. It's brand new. Here, let's take a really bad car is an old engine and everything doesn't work inside. We're going to put a new frame on the outside. It's a brand new car. Look at it. It's so shiny. You're like, yeah, it runs horrible. That doesn't matter. We just matter what it looks like, right? It looks good. We're going to pave this road. Everything around and the ecology and stuff like that, everything's going horrible. But it's got a brand new road. It's so smooth. Good job. All right. It's putting a Band-Aid on something no one wants to fix because they think the Band-Aid's going to help.
And it's incredible because the once again, it just seems to keep happening. Coronavirus, climate change, infrastructure. The people that are against doing something about them are suggesting literally doing nothing. Laissez-faire, just like, oh, do nothing. We can't afford that. Well, it's like the roof is falling down on your house. Nothing we can do about that. I don't know. Like, we're just got to wear jackets and put some buckets underneath it.
Yeah.
Like, or you spend some money, go into a little bit of debt, fix that thing, and then you pay it off. Like you grow and you do that. It's just crazy that it's crazy about the things that we argue about here in this country. But
You have to be willing to spend and put. Money doesn't matter. Your life matters, right?
Yep.
Live forever. Right? We talked about this before. You want to live as long as you possibly can, till the technology can bring you into a point of not dying whatsoever. But you're gonna have to spend money, and eventually in the future you're gonna be looking at it where it's like, oh, I'm in debt millions of dollars, but I'm also making millions of dollars, and I'm offsetting that debt, every 5 to 10 years or whatever. But you're gonna keep going more into debt because the technology is gonna cost that much.
Hopefully, if you are able to live longer and live forever, especially, that you do something with that and you're a good person, because we don't need a bunch of people that don't care about others to have their mindset live on, I guess. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah. But it's going to be kind of like, I think of it as like the watches we're wearing, everything we're wearing on our wrists right now. Okay, this is an Amazon Halo, kind of new technology, but not really that new, just branded in an Amazon way. But these aren't the newest things. Now, living for a long time and technology that's going to take is going to be something where we have to keep spending a lot of money to keep it going. And once you get on that train, you have to keep spending for the next big improvement. And it's going to be a lot of money. But you have to get used to the fact that you need to spend that. And I've just kind of got over the fact that I'm going to have to spend money. I can't look at it as like, oh, I don't want to spend, I want to hold on to this stuff. You need to make money work for you. And it means spending it. But also, we should look at how it helps other people. And with all these issues going on, like, hey, if there was a certain mask you had to get, and that helped better with COVID-19, get that mask, right? There's an improvement. It's going to cost a few $100s, but it improves it so that you can breathe easier in your house. Do it. Don't wait. Do it. Yes, read into it. Don't fall for pseudoscience and whatever things it's trying to sell you, because you know it's going to happen. New things are going to come out. There's going to probably be a light beam that you pass over your face, and it's like, it kills everything that you don't need, that's bad for you. Great.
They don't say it kills everything that's good for you too, but
yeah. Yeah, it's just, that's the whole thing. It's going to be a lot of stuff out there, but be willing to spend the money. Everything is short-lived. Make sure you are long-lived. Spend the money to make things happen if you can. Don't hold on to stuff and wait for a rainy day, because the rainy day is going to be a hurricane day. It's going to be a horrible day if you don't prepare for it. I mean, I think that's what everyone's doing now. They're holding on to everything they can. They don't want to go back to work in restaurants, right? Places can't open. There's a few places. My father came by to visit recently, and he lives in a very tourist-heavy town, and some of the major restaurants of the town cannot open because they cannot hire wait staff. People do not want to work now, and it could be partly because of COVID-19. People are making money by not doing anything too. Some things are being paid off for that too. So
I think that COVID has made mortality front and center, and people sort of like had a few months to sort of step back and go, geez, do I really, like, this life is so fragile. Do I want to spend this at a job I don't enjoy, where I'm treated terribly by customers? Yeah. Because if anything's happened during coronavirus, is that the customers have gotten worse. And I know that just, again, it's anecdotal, but my friends that work in the industry have said that this is terrible. People are so rude and just expect so much. And it seems strange because I thought it would be the exact opposite during a pandemic, but that was just me wishful thinking. But I think it's given people the option to go, you know what, maybe I want something more out of this life instead of just toiling for wealthier people. Because at this point, I still don't see those restaurant owners, not many. I mean, some of them have a small enough restaurant where they are the front and center to face the cook, that sort of thing. But these chain restaurants and things, they can go away. I would be all right. Get those managers behind the grill Get those managers actually waiting tables. You deserve it. You deserve that burden if you can't find the staff. Or close down and let's let the mom and pop local spots that take care of their employees a little bit better.
Yeah.
Let's let them thrive. Because as of right now, I can name a few restaurants that treat their staff very well, and they did before the virus, and they are still doing excellent.
Yeah.
And I know the places, I'm even going to say it, Dunkin' Donuts, that don't take care of their employees very well. At least this they're franchised, so I can't blame the whole thing. But around here, there's a few that are just known for just having terrible management, and those places are now dine or drive-through only because they cannot staff the front. So they're just losing massive amounts of money. All right, well maybe you should shut down a few. I can see 2 from here. Like I don't need, we don't need that, and it's just sort of like this adjustment period. And also something that's happening is we have no foreign workers. We can't let these foreign workers in, and they were a major source of income for these owners, especially in the restaurant industry, especially in seasonal, like around here, apple picking, farming. We're not rural right here, but we're a few towns away from farm communities and things like that. You just can't find people that want to go and do these terrible, miserable jobs. I don't want to go and pick apples in the summer.
I actually wanted to pick apples. I just wish I could eat like 8 apples a day, and that would I wouldn't have constant diarrhea or whatever would happen. I just wish we could live off of apples. Apple season, there's so many apples.
Yep.
They practically want to give them away. Bring a bucket. You filled a bucket in 5 minutes. You just need more buckets. So if you could just eat them as your sole source of nutrition, but you can't.
Nope.
And try holding on to them for too long. They get bad. I don't have a cider press. I just feel but that's the thing is there are jobs that oh, it's hard work and you could end up with all this food, but I was that doesn't equal money.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to do anything.
Yeah.
They want to complain about anyone who comes from another country that comes in and can do the work and will be willing to do the work, and then they're going to be oh, an immigrant or this or that, and it's a constant fight.
This probably is a good way to put some closure on this. Is basically we are now in the middle of, or in America at least, maybe the world, we are suffering the effects of our own decisions collectively.
Yeah.
Not all of us think a certain way, but our collective actions are now kind of coming home to roost.
Biting us in the butt.
Yeah, and so what you should be thinking of right now is what happened last winter that you think should be different, or you should have done different, because you're going to have the opportunity to do the same thing in a few months. So you're going to be able to live this winter just like you did last one. What should you have done differently last winter? And at least now we know more about the virus, and we can kind of go, and especially if you've been paying attention, you should have some information that should be able to guide you. So at least I think I'll leave with that.
Is toilet paper still on sale?
Yeah, right, stock up.
Honestly, I think that's going to happen right now. I feel you're going to see that it's sold out. I wonder why it's sold out, because people are going to be preemptively striking.
Shelves are still bare.
Yeah.
Shelves are bare everywhere, and people aren't even talking about it anymore. I tried to go get a few camping supplies. The entire camping section was just cleaned out, and I've never, ever in my life seen that before. It's just because a multitude of things. Can't find enough drivers. Can't find enough people to work at the factories. Stuff is being slow to come in from other countries. Everything is slowed down, and people are getting sick. People are still getting sick because, we've lost over 600,000 people in this country. Just in this country, we've lost millions worldwide. This stuff has an effect, and we're going to be feeling it for the next few months. So unfortunately, we get to look forward to talking to you about the coronavirus as far into the future as we can see, which last time I was on the show, I think we had tried our best to not even talk about it at all.
I know.
So,
yeah, and it's not just, sorry everybody that we are the educators, we are the COVID talkers, but that's, we want to keep you updated. This is what's happening in Maine. This is Maine, the place where I was once told has no running water and sewage inside. But yes, we do. We have this. We are wearing clothing, right? We have technology.
We aren't all lobstermen or timber harvesters.
clam shuckers. You know, I think you shuck clams. I think you can shuck clams and you shuck corn, right? Yes,
You
I
do,
don't know.
just slightly different tools and
You
methods.
shuck away. So, anyways, have a good time, whatever you're doing, but make sure to keep yourself informed of the news and everything, and
And if you disagree with us, let us know. We'll be happy to chat.
that'd be great. I'm Mr. James,
And I'm Mr. Ritchie.
and
We are the educators.
and we're going to stay masked. Probably, maybe next time. I don't know. Hopefully not. We don't need it. Yeah. There we go. No laughing matter, but take care.